Welcome back. I'm Jill with the carefreekitchen.com, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the best sausage and apple stuffing recipe. This is an awesome recipe, perfect for any holiday meal or family gathering, and I hope you guys love it as much as we do. Okay, so before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me on social media, and I'll show you all kinds of fun and easy recipes that your family will love. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to get our bread ready. I kind of like having the different kinds of bread. Then it has like a lot of different flavors and texture in the stuffing, but whatever you have on hand is great. And I like to just stack it up like this. Sometimes I cut the crust off. I prefer like the inside of the bread. Maybe I'll do this on like half of the bread. I actually really like the crust of like a sourdough bread a little bit better. So whatever you want to do here is great. What we're looking for on this recipe is the volume of breadcrumbs. We want about 16 cups. I'm just cutting little cubes into maybe 3/4 of an inch cubes. Okay, so this is an 8-cup container, so I'm gonna fill this up twice. We don't want it to be too loose, but not pushed down either, so just keep on cutting some bread. And I'll just alternate here between the sourdough, the Texas toast, or the multi-grain bread. Okay, I would say that's just about right for our first half of the breadcrumbs. Okay, and then I'm just going to put them on this baking sheet. And I'm actually going to do this for 2 baking sheets and then put them both into the oven for about 1 hour, about 50 to 60 minutes. We want them to be kind of like crusty, but we don't want it to be like burned or toasted, just kind of crusty. Okay, so while your bread is drying out, the next thing you need to do is chop up your onions and celery. And we're going to need 2 cups of onions and 2 cups of diced celery. I'm just going to dice this pretty finely. Okay, and then we're going to do about 2 cups of this. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up this celery. So I want them to be chopped pretty finely, just like the onions. And I'm just going to cut them down the middle and then give them a quick little chop here too. And it's okay to use like these leafy ends. It's a great way to use up that part of the celery. And it just adds a lot of flavor and texture into our stuffing. So there we go. We have about 2 cups of celery and a couple cups of onion. Okay, I'm just going to get this butter in the saute pan here. And then I'm actually going to add in the carrots and celery. There we go. And we're just going to go ahead and cook this, saute it until it is translucent. We don't need it to be brown. We just need it to be translucent. So this will probably take 7 or 8 minutes, and I've got it cooking on medium heat, and we'll just cook it for 7 or 8 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to cut up some apples. I'm just going to core them here a little bit. There's no need to cut the skins off, but I'm just going to dice them in kind of small chunks. You can also shred the apples, but I actually like them chunked up. This is my mom's recipe, and she likes them shredded, but I actually like them chunky, so whatever you want to do here is great. We'll just go ahead and cut both of these apples. We need 3 apples, and you can use any kind of apple. Just about any kind will be fine. Okay, and then after, I don't know, about 30 minutes or so, it'd be good to come and give your breadcrumbs just like a little bit of a toss so it dries out all of the parts of the bread. And if you have 2 of them in there at the same time, let's go ahead and switch those trays so that they cook evenly. There we go. And there we go. Okay, and then while that is also cooking, I have some thyme here, and I'm just going to strip the leaves off of this. And if you can get your hands on some fresh herbs, this is so delicious with fresh herbs. But if you can only choose maybe one of the fresh herbs, I would get fresh thyme. So this recipe just needs like a half of a teaspoon of thyme. So I'm just going to use my knife and just chop that up a little bit. Okay, and then as far as the vegetables go, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of salt here. I'm also going to add the minced thyme, 1 teaspoon of sage, and then 2 teaspoons of the poultry powder. Okay, and then also some black pepper. Now I'm just going to take this off the heat and put it in another bowl. All right, just going to slide this in there. Okay, and then into my pan, I have just some Jimmy Dean sausage here, and we're going to cook this on about medium heat until it is browned. And you can add a little bit of water into this to help the pieces of meat break up. We're just gonna go ahead and brown this sausage. Okay, so the sausage is brown. Now I'm going to add my 3 chopped apples to the mix. And we're just gonna cook this for another minute or 2 until those apples are just a little bit soft, because they're gonna have a chance to cook thoroughly when we put it in the oven. So we're just gonna start the cooking process here a little bit. Apples and sausage, is there a better combination? So delicious. Okay, so those apples have had a chance to cook a little bit. They're just starting to get soft, so that's perfect. Now they're ready to add to our onion and celery mixture. Okay, and they have a little bit of liquid in there, but it's fine because it's just like apple liquid. So it's delicious liquid. Okay, we'll give this a quick toss, and then it will be ready for our bread and then also a little bit of chicken broth. All right, so I've got my sausage and apple mixture here, and now I'm just going to add my bread cubes into my bowl. This is going to be a very full bowl. I might wish that I had done this in another one. We'll just roll with it. All right, and now we're just going to mix this all up. And you're probably gonna want 1.5 to 2 cups of chicken broth. It depends on how dry your bread is. Okay, and I'm just going to add about half of this at first. And then we can always add a little bit more if we need to. Just kind of turning this all over so it has a chance to absorb. We want it to have some moisture in it, but we don't want it to be mushy. So that's what we're going for here. And if you love the combo of sausage and apple, you are going to love this recipe. It has so much flavor. Okay, so I don't see any moisture there on the bottom of my bowl. I'm actually gonna add just a little bit more broth. I had 2 cups in here, so I might have about a half a cup left. And if you wanted to make this ahead of time, this is a great place to leave it. You could put it in a baking dish, or you can just leave it like this and then put it in a baking dish tomorrow or the next day. It would stay like this for a couple days, and then you can heat it in the oven for about an hour before you are ready to serve it. There we go. Actually, it looks really good. Okay, and for this one, I'm just gonna use my baking sheet that I used for my breadcrumbs. Or you could put this in a 9x13, it would just be pretty full. So if you have room in your oven, this will probably cook a little bit faster this way. Now just kind of even it out here. So if you wanted to make it ahead of time, you could put saran wrap over this and then put it in the fridge, or like I said, in the bowl is fine. And then you can just do this the day that you're ready to bake it. Okay, so now I'm going to bake this in a preheated oven for about 45 to 50 minutes on 350 degrees. Okay, and when you're cooking this stuffing, you are going to want to be sure that you stir it every 20 or 30 minutes. We want to remove some of the moisture out of there so that the bread is all nice and loaded with flavor, but we don't want the edges to get too crispy. So we're going to just turn this over every 20 or 30 minutes. Here is my recipe for the best sausage and apple stuffing. This Thanksgiving dressing recipe is easy and turns out great every single time. It's a homemade stuffing recipe made with simple and fresh ingredients and a perfect balance of fresh herbs and spices. This is a must-have for every holiday feast. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode at the Carefree Kitchen. I hope you love this sausage and apple stuffing as much as we do. Also, as always, there's a printable recipe link down in the description box, and that'll take you right to the recipe. Super easy to print and give you all kinds of fun and easy tips and tricks along the way. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.